Hi everybody, welcome back to the 1.3 video. We had just talked about changing between percents and decimals. Now we're going to be talking about fractions and decimals. Once you have a fraction, you can change it to a decimal. Then you could use the same idea that we just covered in the first video about how to change that decimal into a percentage. We'll also be learning another way in the video for tomorrow. So 7 over 8. If we want to convert a fraction to a decimal, so we're going from the fraction to a decimal, we're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. So numerator means we have a number on top. Okay, so my numerators are on top. My denominators are on bottom. Color coding that for you so you make sure you know which one is which, because if you do it the other way, you'll get a completely different decimal. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and do the numerator. Let's see. 7 divided by the denominator, 8. So when we want to do this, we're going to look and say 8 goes into 7. Well, 8 goes into 7 0 times. So I put my 0, I add my decimal point in both places, and I add a 0. 8 goes into 70 8 times, minus my 64, and I would get 6. 8 doesn't go into 6, so I need to add another 0. 8 goes into 60 7 times. That would leave me with a 4 left over. Add my 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. This is my decimal, 0.875. Let's practice another one. So again, we take our numerator in this case is 2, and we divide by the denominator, which was 5. So I'm going to divide by 5. Okay, so 5 does not go into 2, so I put my 0, decimal point, add my 0. 5 goes into 20 4 times. When I subtract 20 and I have a remainder of 0, this is good because it means we're all done. So my decimal is 0.4, or 4 tenths. Let's try another one. 5 over 4. So that means I'm going to take 5 divided by 4. 5 divided by 4. So 4 goes into 5 one time, with 1 left over. 4 does not go into 1. So I add my decimal point, add a 0, bring it down. 4 goes into 10 2 times. Subtract my 8, bring down my 2. 4 times 2 is 8. That's where I got that 8 subtracted. And now I bring down my 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. This is my decimal. Let's try one more together before you try it on your own. 7 thirds. 7 divided by 3. Top, bottom, top, bottom. So 3 goes into 7 2 times. 3 does not go into 1. So add my decimal. 3 goes into 10 3 times. And you'll start to see a pattern here. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 goes into 10 3 times. I'm going to change my color so you can see what I'm working on here. If I keep going, this isn't going to change. So no matter how many times I do this, the decimal is going to repeat. Se va a repetir. This decimal just keeps going, 0.333, forever and ever and ever. So when we get a decimal that repeats like this, we have a shorthand way of writing it. And so we write the 2.3 like we had been, but we put a bar here. Okay? And this bar means repeating. So this is my answer. Okay, so if we look at the next screen, it says you try. So go ahead and pause, and then you try it, and let's see what we come up with. Okay, so hopefully you tried it on your own. If you got stuck, it's okay. I'm here to help. So we're going to do 5 divided by 6. Top, bottom, top, bottom. 6 doesn't go into 5, so I add my 0. 6 goes into 50. 8 times, I'm going to put my 8. 6 times 8 is 48, so that gives me my 2. 6 goes into 20 3 times. So I'm going to subtract my 18. And now I get a 2. And bring down my 0. 6 goes into 20 3 times. Write down my 18. Bring down my 2. Hopefully we're starting to see a pattern. Once you see this part here repeating, that's when you know your decimal is never going to change. Okay, so give it 1 or 2, maybe 3 tries, but then after a while you need to recognize the pattern. So my decimal is going to be 0.8, and then it's the 3 that repeats, so it's the 3 that gets the line. Okay, let's try again. 10/9. So 10 divided by 9. 9 goes into 10 once. Put my decimal point, bring down my 0. 9 goes into 10 once. Hopefully we're starting to see a pattern. 9 goes into 10 once. And it doesn't matter how many times I do this, I'm going to keep getting the same thing. So for a repeating decimal, we write up to our decimal point, and then whatever's repeating gets the bar. Okay, so let's keep going. Converting from a decimal to a fraction. So now we're going the opposite way. And if you're going the opposite way, it's important to know this. This box matters. Very important. Okay, so I usually put a few stars next to it. There is one hanging in my classroom. Okay, so if you don't have it memorized, you can use that. The reason why it's important is we need to know what each one of these decimal places is called. So if you look at the first example, you'll notice that there are 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places means hundreds. This is read 25 hundredths. So we're going to take 25 and put the 100 underneath it. From there, now we need to reduce. What number goes into both 25 and 100? The answer would be 5. Okay, 25 divided by 5 is 5. 100 divided by 5 is 20. And now I need to ask myself, well, could I do that again? So 5 and 20 I can divide by 5 again. Okay, 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. This is the fraction for 25 hundredths, or 0.25. Let's do another one. Okay, so we have 0.045. That's 1, 2, 3. Let me switch my color. So 1, 2, 3. That's thousandths. So I'm going to take my number. You can take 0.45 over 1,000, or you could just call it 45 over 1,000. So once you write your fraction, now we need to reduce. What number goes into both of those? Well, 5 would, again. 5 is going to be our best friend, 5 and 2. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. 1,000 divided by 5. 5 goes into 10 2 times, and then I have 120 left over. So now I need to think, is there a number that goes into both of those? Well, I know 9 and 3 don't work, and because 9 is not even, this is my final answer. So now it says you try, so go ahead and pause, and then resume the video when you're ready to see how to go, to see my answers and see how we go from a decimal to a fraction. Okay, so hopefully you tried, and let's go through them somewhat quickly because hopefully we're just checking your answers. So 0.7 is also said 7/10. And because you cannot reduce, this is your final answer. This is said 3/100, tenths, hundreds. So I'm going to take 3 over 100, and again I can't reduce, so that's it. Similar to B, where there's 2 decimal places and my denominator is 100, here I'm going to get 35 over 100. I need to reduce that. So what number goes into 35 and 100? 5. So 35 divided by 5 is 7. 100 divided by 5 is 20. And because that does not reduce, that's my answer. One last example of this, 0.125, tenths, hundreds, thousandths. So we do 125 over 1,000. So we could look at this a couple of different ways. I'm actually going to reduce this one by 25 because I know I could make $10 and $1.25 out of quarters. So 25, if I'm thinking about quarters, is made up of 5 quarters. And 25 in 100 is 4. And then I still have this 0 left. Okay, so now I need to reduce the fraction that I just got there. So let's think, what number goes into 5 and 40? The answer is 5 again. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 40 divided by 5 is 8. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pause there. Okay, so make sure you've watched this part of the video, and when you're ready, watch the next section.